Okay, so I'm getting ready for my spoon making class tomorrow. We'll see if anybody gets anything out of this. It's cherry wood that I've saved from the fall. One of my friends came to my first sale. Well, it cuts pretty good. Not bad. I sharpened it up a little, or cleaned it and oiled it. Anyway, one of my friends came to my first spoon sale at the Bazaar at the Great Hall, and showed me that he had truckloads full of this nice sweet cherry. See the lenticels, and I've painted the bottom with water-based paint to keep it from going bad. So even though this is a pretty big log, this little Silky XL, whatever, Silky X Ultra XL rocks it. And then I made up a little buck saw with a Turbo Cut 400 universal. And this is a Jap blade. It works on the pull stroke. It's a finer cut. And it's a little bit aggressive, and you have to kind of, to keep it from chirping, you gotta kind of work it and not push into it because it's just very aggressive. But it doesn't leave a cut. There's no curve like with a lot of these Jap saws that I have. So this one's more for fine work. Always untension your saw. Let's see how the Silky does. Through maybe 6 by 8 inch cherry. Okay. Pretty good. I think the bigger one, the longer jaw, is the one I want. And this is a push. You can see the difference. You kind of get a little oomph into it and you kind of push at the heel instead of pulling at the toe. Although you do a little of both. Very important to remember when using the Jap saws that you pull. You never push. This kind of can go both ways. Try and get your core into it. You get tired, take a break. Notice a wobble. Thanks for looking. I'm here to do some spoon carving, and I just wanted to kind of dedicate this to Zebra Alpha. She's struggling right now. I notched this piece out with one of my vintage hatchets to make a little spoon carving block. And I wanted to show you first difference in different woods and the way they're cut. This piece here is the larger half of the cherry I cut yesterday, and I'm going to cut this one radially, which is called Riven, and it's stronger that way. That's the way the wood wants to split. And it will also yield better rays because it kind of follows along the ray lines. That will be the surface of the spoon handle. And these that I cut yesterday from the shorter side, this is quarter sawn or quarter chopped. And you could see it does get some rays. I think you can see this, but maybe not. The light's not great. In this piece here, I cut the core out, and so this is like plain sawn. And like I said before, cherry is really hard. So it's probably not the best wood to start out on. It's a beautiful wood. It's addictive. It smells so great. Let's try quarter sawn, because I can demonstrate how it moves a little better. You can see this is cherry. It's got lenticels, wild cherry, I think. And there's a little knot there, but that should be okay. So I'm going to start just kind of getting it evened up. So this one's going to be quarter sawn, or actually it is, but it's going to end up being more like it's plain sawn just because it's a small piece. All right, so I'm going to make the spoon. I think I'm going to have the bowl where the knot is. No, it wants to hook that way. So maybe I will do it that way. Though I really do like the radial lines on my face, but it's okay. So if this is going to be the bowl, the bottom of the bowl, you could see kind of a hook. I want this to get smaller. So I'm going to keep my hands out of the way. And I could put my block here to help me control it. Keep my legs out of the way. And I'm going to tilt back. So now I'm going to try an extra step. So this is going to be the bowl. And I'm going to draw a center line first. Now to get out my carving axe. It's a Liam Hoffman carving axe. I like it a lot. So I'm going to start here and get this a little more even. I can tell where I am because I got this log. Probably should have worked at that a little harder, but that's okay. And I like pointing my finger and just taking little, keeping my body kind of tight. Probably should flick my wrist. So there's a couple of ways to do the spoon bend. in here. One way is to cut it, and the other way is to just use your hatchet. The easiest way to cut it in is to have it, let's see, like this, so I can get over it and see. So I'm going to do the other way. I'm going to make 2 cuts here as stop cuts with my Jap saw, and I'll go ahead and just use the rough one. And then again, get rid of the chips. Okay, so maybe it's too wet to cut easily, but I'm going to try. Go right down to my line, which isn't very exact, but exact enough for me. Same thing here. And this one does not have any kerf to it, so it's a little tight. And I'm just doing the draw. Close enough. Okay. So now I don't really have the ability to help you see, but if I go down and I try and leave my line, okay, and I go from the other direction. Bump cut. It's pretty close. Now I'll just pop that off. Okay. And then for the other way, I can see it if I get over it like this. And back the other way. And you can see the rays here. They're going opposite to the way I'd like. But that's all right. Because this is quarter sawn, but it ended up being more flat. Oh, I had to take it out to shape it square. All right. So this is where you have to be careful not to break it. Kind of support your neck, and you want to cut on the far side of the block. Really, I'm a little too close, and I'd rather be cutting straight down, but this isn't my normal setup. Bump, pry. And to me, that's a good enough start for where I am. And it's not perfect like some of the guys do, but it's good enough. So I'm out here at Shakori Hills. It's a festival of music and dance. Happens in the spring and fall here in Pittsboro, North Carolina. Okay, next I'm going to go for the crank, and kind of want the bowl to go down for the first 2/3 and then back up, and this is going to be the lowest part of the bowl, so I'm going to mark that now. I could take my Mora Classic. Well, it's not quite straight. Straight across. And go for making that deeper. Work on my crank. Okay, so the sun's coming over a little bit. You can see the rays if you look real close. I'll explain more later. Okay, so now I'm going to work on, now that I have the top sort of crank, I'm going to work on the bottom crank. Kind of get this down a little. The other thing I want to mark is I want to mark this area and relay out my bowl because I cut all that off. Start with this again, refine my center line. That's pretty much it. And again, this is the low spot. It's about 2/3, I think. And I'm gonna probably maybe go even it up a little. I'm gonna do rounder over here so I can scoop out a bowl, and more acute over here. I'm going to keep it square for now. Then I'm going to mark the back because I want to know, well, I really want this perfect here first. And this knife isn't straight on the back, so it's harder to see. Let's see how this Mora is. Straighter. I'm dipping a little bit on this side. My handle's a little high over here. Just to remind me. So this is my 2/3 mark. That's the deepest part of the bowl. I'm gonna go 1/4, 3/8 on either side of that, and just try and preserve the deepness here as I go. Now I'm going to start going down towards the handle. And then I'll trim the bowl a bit. And again, this is kind of a tricky spot. It'd be nicer if I had a taller setup, and you got to be really uber careful. So I could do this. And this is just a cutoff from my bowl carving. So here we go. Set up. Bad. Okay. Okay, now do the bowl, the profile. Looks a little bit large the way I drew it, but it's okay. So, well, maybe not the profile, maybe this first. So, just gonna go from that mark. Pretty good crank. Everything's a little bit thick and chunky, but a little crooked here, so I'm going to even that up. And it's not bad. Thickness 5/8. 5/8. Which way is off? Okay, so here's the rays. They're pretty, but they're gonna be obliterated because of the way I cut it. That's why I like going radially. And you'll see people like Lee Stouffer, his stuff's always radial. I'll get over that. I got that mark. I'm gonna try and keep this preserved. Kind of in the middle. God, those rays are pretty. Hate to lose them. Okay. Now do some more profiling of the bowl, I guess. And I'm going to try and start vertically and then start a curve around. Trying to keep it pretty square and bend that handle down as I go to get my round curve. And I'm kind of slicing it because I like to. And then this side. Same thing. Start more vertical. My accuracy is not as good as it could be, but it's getting better. I've been doing this about a year. And it's hard to see this one. It's a little awkward, but it's working. I can always get that with a slice. Kind of angle it and push. Or down like that. Okay. I try and chamfer things off pretty quickly, just because it's less likely to split. So I'll take off the little nibs. All right, looks like it's good to start doing the bowl. Now, this is my chisel bag, and my favorite chisel is this Howard, because it's best for bowls, obviously, but I really like it. And I have a Mora. I don't know. It's okay. Let's see how the Mora does. I don't use it all that much. Maybe I should double check my marks, because that's my sort of special plane. Make sure I'm still in the ballpark. All right. So I tend to use these like that, and it more in my hand usually, or in my lap. Go across the grain and flick up. Sometimes you'll lose your edge if you're not careful. biomechanically, this sort of ulnar crank is good for your tendons. Although I will say, if I do a lot, I'm going for some carpal tunnel. And I've been doing special things to work on that with kinesio tape and stretching it out when things get rough. So I'm trying to make that deep part of the bowl 2/3 back. But it's an eater spoon, so it's going to be pretty shallow. And I'm going to leave maybe a 1/4 inch around the edge so I don't split out. And I tend to keep the front more shallow as well. So I'm really trying to go deep here. This is a little bit even, that's fine. Okay. Now I'll go for the back side, kind of try and tell how thick it is. Oop. Dang it. I didn't leave that part of the bowl. Oh well. Okay, so I got a little sidetracked. My media went full. Got my crank, my profile, my bowl kind of roughed out. And now for some knife work. All of this was done with the axe. And I'm just going to kind of have at it. No real system. I want to keep the shoulder kind of high and thick, but narrow, and then the main part of the spoon kind of thick. Right now needs to be gotten thinner. So I'm going to first trim down the profile of my handle a little, make it a little more symmetrical, and maybe a little more bowl work because it's kind of thick at the back. So we'll start here. Try to make it pretty even. Same thing coming back. I'm going to start in the middle and kind of go towards my mark and then sort of work my way up. So we were coming downhill here, so I'm going to keep coming downhill. But in order to do that, I have to do a chest kind of lock and then just kind of pull in towards it. Get it cleaned up a little bit. I can go sideways here if I don't want to go all the way to the end. It's not as clean a cut, but it's functional. Double check with my other blade. Starting to look pretty. It's a little crooky. High on here. So if I keep my elbows in, I just start doing the facets, or facets, whatever. Facets are the joints in your back. Same on the other side, I guess. I was going to switch to the bowl, but I'm not. I got the Willie Sundquist book. Got some instruction on how to sharpen from Peter Follansbee and Mary May, because of my proximity to some good woodworkers that come to town for Roy Underhill's shop. All right, so I figured I'd keep going off camera, and I used a little too much force, and my neck was a little bit too thin, and it broke. It would have been a nice little eater. I like the way the knot was, and the way it had the different colored marking. The spalting I didn't like, and it probably, well, I don't know if it split along a ray line. I don't think it did. But my next one will be better. Every time it's getting a little bit better. So anyway, thanks for watching.